According to the judgment of the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinale, the Hydro Archon to be punished via the death sentence.
You and I both know that there may be issues with the Primordial Sea.
Everyone on the street who happened to be close to the water didn't have a chance to escape. As the water levels rose, they suddenly disappeared.
Shouldn't gods be all-powerful?
What's done is done. Just trust in me, your Archon. Never mind whether you can truly convince yourself to or not. The show begins! Shower me with praise! Let my name echo in song! What's the news? Say cheese! Breaking news! I know you're not a local, but I'd avoid getting too close to any water that looks strange all the same. There's something ominous about it. Well, the water, I mean.
The prophecy, yes. What has been prophesized will be fulfilled.
I, Marina, will use this trial to show the world the true meaning
Do
of
not resist.
justice!
This judgment is fair and just.
What is the meaning you would call
You have
this?
never been as
Justice?
superficial as you have presented yourself to be.
No more excuses!
Then why should we acknowledge it?
Fusolo, why did you deceive us?
Applaud and rejoice!
Wait just a moment. This isn't right!
The trial of the Hydro Archon,
Seem to remember
Fusolo, will now
This
begin!
trial is...
I now understand the true purpose behind this position. You are a devious one, Fusolo.
Everyone's dead. Papa, what should I do?
The prophecy that you've been fretting over should now be in full swing.
I suppose this would also be the justice that belongs to you. All will eventually end in a magnificent and dramatic trial. Farewell, Nervalette. I hope you've enjoyed the part you played these 500 years.
Welcome to the Cat's Tail. Ah, what a nice surprise.
Don't tell me you came to learn Genius Invocation TCG without bringing any cards! It is time to see what you are made of! With Sword comes Shadow! Go as one!
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Catskills Gathering Season 5 America Finals. I'm so excited to be here. My name is Leah, aka Windflower Leah.
And I am Blep the Cat, at Blep the Cat on Twitter and YouTube. So happy to be back after, I guess, the 5th season now. It's been quite a wild ride with TCG this year.
It has been, yeah. And we weren't here for Season 4 because we were in Malaysia, right? We were casting for Prince Cup. So it's good to be back here as well, casting remotely for Catskills Gathering Season 5. So
yeah, it is really good, but I do miss kind of like the live in-person stages that they always have set up. You know, if you didn't get a chance to check out the Malaysia Prince Cup, it was such a wild ride. You know, I have a lot of respect for all the players in that tournament. So definitely a very fun series if you have time to go, if you missed it and have time to go back and watch it.
Yeah, all the Prince Cups so far have been very fun. They had EU and NA at the same place in LA, right? And then they had Macau, Hong Kong, Taiwan, all those regions competing in Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia. So we were there live casting. So, but yeah, we are back for Season 5. I think the top 4 here is very stacked in terms of like who's playing. So I'm really excited to see some good quality Genius Invocation matches today.
I'm pretty hyped that we made it back for this specific set of finals in the NA. I mean, we'll get to the players in a second, but I mean, looking both at the deck list and the plays that we have, we're up for a really good time. Like I don't want to call it too early, but this could be one of the best finals that we've had to date.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, especially, you know, considering how far the scene has come. Of course, there are a lot of changes coming for next patch, but for now, let's get into the rules of the tournament, also the prize pool. So, Catskills Gathering has been running for a while. We are on Season 5 right now. Each of these players has had to play 35 matches to place on the leaderboard, and then they go into a knockout stage, which is a single elimination bracket, best of 3 to determine the final winner. And so right now we're going to be seeing our top 4 playing against each other. We're going to have the 3rd place match, and you see 3rd place prize is $300. And then we're going to have our finals match to determine who takes home that 1,000 there. So 2 best of 3s coming up here.
Yeah, and again, huge stakes on the line, right? Like a single game is kind of worth $400 in between 1st and 2nd place. So these players are playing for huge stakes. But I think, you know, as we'll see, a lot of these players are probably used to playing for these stakes by now. We have very much a set of seasoned players here in the top 4. They're used to this level of competition. They're used to these level of stakes.
And here we see the top 4 right now. So match 1, which is our 3rd place best of 3, is between Robot Wizard, who is a fan favorite by now, I would say, versus Proxy, who we might know who he is, but we'll leave that a bit later. And then our final match will be between Kami-sama versus Kihano.
Yeah. Again, a lot of these players, I mean, Kami-sama, I believe, made an appearance in the previous NA Season 4, but is otherwise a newcomer. But the other 3 names are actually well-known players.
Yeah, so this is Proxy's first deck, it looks like. Saramona, a classic for this player, right?
And if you couldn't tell by the deck choice, Proxy is, of course, Kevin Z, a seasoned player from the EU side traditionally, but playing now in the NA finals, being able to make it to the knockouts here, which, again, is very difficult with the quality of players these days.
Also, so what I was saying earlier about Saramona being like a very good deck for Proxy is that this is like one of his favorite decks to play. Normally he brings Venti, but with the change to Mondstadt Resonance became Fresh Wind of Freedom. So basically, I think that's why he swapped out Venti for Kazuha for Inazuma Resonance set. And then this is Robot Wizard. He has been playing since the first Alpha and NA, and it looks like he's running with Shenna SC as his first deck.
Yeah, also a deck, I mean, he's basically been playing since forever. You know, very solid choice. I mean, one of the only new changes here I see is that new weapon, Moon Piercer. It's one of the spears that lets you discount your normal attacks and adds +1 damage. Very good for an aggressive deck like Shenhe Superconduct.
I'm really excited to see how this match plays out because, I mean, I feel like Proxy is in his element here with Saramona, but of course Shanna SE has withstood the test of time. Very strong meta deck. So
I mean, in fact, has gotten better with the change to Wind of Freedom. You know, it was able to kind of take out Covenant and swap it out for fresh Wind of Freedom. So now it has an even more aggressive slant to it.
Yeah, because, you know, that used to be Mondstadt Resonance, but now you don't have to have 2 Mondstadt characters to play that card. And of course, if you're not familiar, if you're more of like a casual player, that you can even see it in Robot Wizard's starting hand that is called Fresh Wind of Freedom. And basically, if you take out an opposing player's active character, after playing it, you can even have another turn. So it is very strong for finishing a game when it's like neck and neck, basically.
Yeah. And speaking of strong, Robot Wizard's opening hand very strong there. He's going to have a perfect kind of opener that to use as 8 dice, whereas Proxy really hoping to. So Proxy's deck uses Ancient Courtyard, which discounts your second artifact equipped by 2. This deck really hinges on drawing 2 artifacts in its opening hand. It runs so many in the deck just to make that happen, but not drawing it this time is going to hurt the opening a lot.
Yeah, I mean,
Kazuha's talent card.
Kazuha's talent card. Can you remind me what that does?
Yeah, so Kazuha, with his skill, if he will using his talent card buff the damage of the same element that he swells by 1 for 2 instances. Kind of like Shenhe's skill, but kind of more flexible for any element.
I do believe, if I remember correctly, that Proxy took 2 copies of that talent, just ensuring that Proxy gets it in his hand. It looks like he did, so that's good.
Yeah, it's a very good card, provided you can make use of it. Looks like Robot Wizard not rolling great dice there, but still going to be able to get a normal attack on Shenhe for that second energy.
That's true. I mean, also, Robot Wizard is sitting on 2 Woven if he should choose to use them, but it looks like he's opting for the normal attack, as you said. And, I mean, one crucial card to bring against Shenhe SE
Delves into destiny.
Send off, but it looks like Proxy does not have it in hand, so Shenhe's gonna be able to get that burst off next round. It's gonna be pretty good for Robot Wizard.
Yeah, Saramona being a very assertive deck generally doesn't want to play reactive cards. Again, both of these decks are aggro, so the game's going to be very fast. Round 3 is pretty much guaranteed to be the end of this match. So with the start openings, though, really favoring Shenhe Super Conduct right now, being able to efficiently use up the dice. So it all matters on whether Proxy can draw a second artifact, because that could swing things back.
Just as you say that, 2 artifacts in hand. I mean, I feel like, Proxy had a very good start with this deck as well. Going from Kujosara to Mona's skill. It's like very standard, so.
Those dice rolls too are going to help a lot. I mean, those are exactly. Really I think that they want to go to Sara, so we might see those 2 Hydra get re-rolled, or at least that Pyro, hoping for an Electro die. If he can roll Electro die in that last slot, I believe he's going to have a 3 skill turn there after drawing the artifact for Ancient Courtyard.
Yeah, looks like Proxy is thinking carefully about what to do here. Do you keep those 2 Hydro if you don't really want to bring out Mona?
I mean, the goal of this deck is to switch over into Mona, so I think Proxy's just making sure and thinking about their dice to see if they have enough. Yeah, it looks like he's going to keep those 2 Hydro. He should have enough to go through all the characters this turn. And this is the power of the Saramona deck and those artifacts, is that it's one of the few decks that can effectively use 3 skills on round 2 very consistently.
And here comes that Shenhe burst, so that will be buffing both cryo and normal attack damage, right? Physical damage.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, the physical damage won't come up too much, but the cryo damage buff definitely extremely powerful. With 2 Gamblers and 2 Wovens as well in Robot Wizard's hands, I mean, both. It's really hard to predict. I mean, both these games could swing very quickly in either player's favor, depending on how the skills and the dice line up.
I really like taking Liusu in Shenhe SE. I feel like it's such a necessary support card. Robot Wizard having 1 in hand and also 1 on the field, just kind of high rolling.
Yeah, I mean, we're not likely to see that second one come out, mainly because, again, how quick this matchup is. If it was a slower matchup, it'd be more likely, but that's probably going to get tuned, also judging by the dice rolls. Yeah.
I mean, if there's a reason to use a second one, it would be because your opponent brought Send-Off, right? And I don't remember if it's in Proxy's deck here, the Saramona deck, but at least it's not in Proxy's hand. So I did see, is that the Nessus Rebellion, the 3-cost card at the bottom there?
Yeah, actually very interesting. I wouldn't have thought
Sounds
you'd run
good to
that.
me.
Usually you'd run that deck in, or run that card in decks that utilize normal attacks a little bit more. But looks like with all of the elemental artifacts, you can really discount and make it easier to cast your skills. So maybe a good reason to run it.
Ancient Courtyard, which is the card that Proxy just played, allows Proxy to equip another weapon card or artifact for 2 less dice. So basically it's a free equip. So yeah, we saw Kasa's Talent come out as well as an artifact and just instant swap to Sara. This deck is working as intended right now.
Yeah, I mean, the deck really wants to, again, go from left to right, just switching in between characters. Kaza has a perfect way to enable that too, because his skill automatically switches you into the next character, as we see.
Icy Quills coming out for some extra cryo damage buff on Robot Wizard's side. I mean, noticeably staying on Shenhe here, right? Like, she doesn't really... She's kind of used her purpose, so...
Yeah, the burst is out. I mean, Shenhe didn't get a chance to use Icy Quills in the first 2 rounds because the 2 energy came from Lisu and normal attacks, so using this opportunity to set up is perfect.
I think it's perfect too, and then you don't have to spend that extra die to swap over, except Sara's skill only does 1, so...
I think this is fine, actually. You kind of want to force your opponent to make the swap on their terms, because you're not that interested. You don't have any effects like Gambles anyway in your hand. It looks like Proxy's planned this to turn out perfectly, with that changing shifts in hand, he will be able to swap over to Mona to finish the 3 skill turn, and we're going to see a lot of damage pile up on Robot Wizard's sides pretty quickly.
Yeah, you can immediately see the effects of, bringing so many 2-cost artifacts that will, basically refund a dice to you. Like, every dice counts. We always say that whenever we're casting, right? And in this case, having a deck that utilizes a bunch of 2-cost artifacts to preserve your dice when you're utilizing elemental skills, it's really strong here.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of dice here, Robot was in a tough situation. He really wants to somehow make use of those last 2 die, but to do so, he is going to have to use up a Woven in some form. And he's deciding right now whether to switch or to stay on Shenhe to maybe use another Icy Quills or could equip a Gamblers and end the turn.
So floating one, that one Electro Dice is not gonna get to be used, unfortunately.
Yeah. Robot Wizard here knows that Proxy is going to make this play, and so going to stay on Shenhe to absorb as much damage as she can while not letting Proxy get maximum damage of Mona's skill, which is huge.
From
Mona's skill coming out, it is... it's honestly not looking good for Robot Wizard.
I've never seen that skill do 4 damage. That's crazy. So that was buffed by not only Sarah's skill, but also the Kazuha talent, and then the Electro Charge reaction. So that was a ton of damage.
Honestly, I was saying earlier how Proxy would normally bring Venti in this deck, and that's because, Mondstadt Resonance was a thing before it got nerfed and turned into Fresh Wind of Freedom, which is an Arcane Legend. But, I actually feel like Kazuha is so strong in this deck. It is buffed for Saramona, even.
You think that, but one thing to keep note of, if it was Venti there instead of Kazuha, then Proxy wouldn't have needed to draw the changing shifts to make the play that he just did. But if he hadn't drawn that changing shifts, it would have been a really awkward round 2. So I think Venti is still better, but it's too powerful to not use Inazuma Resonance, I think, and give up on Mondstadt Resonance like that.
I mean, you can give up on Mondstadt Resonance because you can just take it now as an Arcane Legend, but Inazuma Resonance is honestly really strong. I don't know. I like this iteration of Saramona. That's all I'm saying. I really like it. But yeah, it does not look good for Robot Wizard. No. I mean, he rolled some really good dice here. He has an I haven't lost yet in hand. Ooh.
Yeah, here we go. The Fresh Wind of Freedom coming out. With the Gamblers too. It's in a big turn.
Who was he going to swap to? Who do you think, Blip?
I think you stay on... I actually think... well, how does it work? Actually, if you swap to Kazuha, can he still get a plunging attack off? So ideally you want to save Kazuha for a plunging attack, but you shouldn't be at risk of Chongyun here because he can't use I haven't lost yet, and so the skill here is only going to do 5. We might actually see Robot Wizard switch over to Raiden instead at this point.
I mean, I see a quick swap in hand for Robot Wizard. If you were Robot Wizard right now, what would you do in this situation? You've used your fresh wind of freedom. You have one more turn.
Yeah,
to make
you can't
up
afford to
for your
lose.
lower HP.
You really can't afford to lose Chong Yun here, but I don't think there's a way out of it. I believe Kazuha's plunging attack, though, without any more buffs, is only going to do 3 damage, which means a swap to Raiden here is actually going to be very good. So if I was Robot Wizard, I think that's what I would do. I will have to see. He's a better player than I am, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, we
I
see
think
the
Sang
timer
Chong
running
here.
down here.
I mean, the problem with for him right now, he has enough dice to finish off his opponent, but it's a race to see who can get there first. You see how aggressive these two decks are, right? Like we're not even getting to the end of round 3 before we're entering the end game where it's kind of make or break for either side.
Yeah, both of these decks are very, very, very fast paced, and I feel like, I mean, Proxy kind of high roll in some ways. It looks he's not swapping to Raiden, opting to go for the last energy point towards Chongyun's burst. I think this forces Proxy to take Chongyun now. Yeah, skill on the Kazuha.
I see. Okay, so I think this play makes sense. You know, you're kind of forcing your opponent to kill Chongyun here, but then Raiden can trade back for Kazuha right away, and then Sarah is not a good character to finish on.
One with nature.
Yeah, but if you swirl that Hydra onto Raiden...
That training.
Oh yeah, but the
skill swaps back to Kujosara, so we're just gonna see I haven't lost yet Raiden burst, right?
I mean, that's probably the only thing you can do, but that's not gonna be enough because that Kazuha's swap actually coming in really clutch there. If that had so before it had been Venti, it would have been better because if he didn't draw change shifts, but since he drew it, now Kazuha able to do that swap and keep himself safe is actually huge. I believe this makes it impossible for Robot Wizard to win from here. Oh, it's such a shame. He has those 2 cryo die that he never got to use.
Yeah. Ooh. Not going for...
Right. I mean, killing Sarah here... Yeah. Taking out Sarah here would be immediate loss. Robot Wizard just trying to play to whatever outs that he has. But I believe Proxy can just use Sarah's burst or a skill in this situation to close out the game. So either way, I believe it's done for Robot Wizard. Especially since your opponent already used up their fresh wind of freedom.
So if you're... So Proxy... Kujosara's burst, is that do 1 or 2 in this case?
I believe it only does 1.
So
which is one of the weaknesses.
Both the skill and burst do 1 damage, and then with Electrocharge, it's going to be another 1, right? So Raiden would be left at 1. So Robot Wizard would have to end.
Right. I mean, the summons at the end of turn will take out Proxy's side, but Proxy should be able to end the game here no matter what, with either a normal attack or a skill from Sarah. I think they're just going over all the iterations, figuring out what they could possibly lose to at this stage. You know, something like a Lotus Crisp or a Hash Brown, some kind of healing effect would be a huge game changer. But we have to note that Proxy also has their own, and they don't have enough dice to do everything. So yeah, it looks like it's going to be a tune. I'm actually not sure if the skill there even matters. I think a normal attack would have worked just fine.
Because Proxy has enough dice to do 2 actions, right? So it doesn't really matter.
If you use a skill here, I believe, and your opponent does have something to take out Sarah, then you want to make sure you can end first and have your summons go before the other side.
Right.
Tuning there probably for time. Better needs to do something quick. Here we go.
Kujosara's skill coming out, leaving Raiden at 1 health. Her burst is up, but unfortunately Robot Wizard does not have enough dice to cast it. 2 Woven in hand, but unfortunately our Cryo need 4 Electro. So,
I mean, even with the burst, it wouldn't have been enough. You know, Kazuha is still going to stay alive, and your opponent has 3 dice left. There's really no way out of this for Robot Wizard. You know, the best you can do here is just normal attack on Raiden, but that will, that's the end of it.
Interesting. Goes for the Woven, but then doesn't actually use it. I mean,
well,
doesn't matter either way.
Yeah, I'm sure these 2 players know each other, and this is just a little bit of a gesture of goodwill there. You know, knowing that there's no way for him to win, decides not to make the attack and just ends the turn.
Yeah, so congratulations, Proxy, for taking the first game in this best of 3 and 3rd place match between Proxy and Robot Wizard. That was a very close game, very fast-paced game, as you were saying. You know, both of these decks are very aggressive, right? So,
I mean, you saw, what was it? It was 26 damage out of the Saramona deck by round 2. 26, and that was in addition to I think like a 3 health overkill on Shenhe as well. So that was effectively 29 damage in 2 rounds. Like that is insane.
Counting the damage too?
Yeah, of course. That's my job. If I don't keep track of this for listeners at home, it's going to be really hard to miss all of these things. But you can see the power of the deck there. It just gets there in pure dice efficiency. You know, with all those artifacts, Arcane Courtyard being essentially 2 extra dice, you have such a head start on your opponent there. And Robot Wizard not able to catch up and really not able to use those 2 Wovens and Gamblers as effectively as the artifacts on Proxy side.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a downside sometimes of having 2 copies of a card. Like, you want to draw it, but sometimes when you're drawing the second copy, it can kind of inhibit you instead of, like, be beneficial because you really need the other cards you have in your deck, right? Like, a Cryo-Res could have come in handy, anything like that. Like, maybe even a Lotus or something like that. Just because I noticed that Robot Wizard didn't really draw any sustain, right? And I know we went into this match thinking that Shenhe SC would be favored, but I mean, I don't know. I think Proxy both played the deck he had, Saramona, very skillfully and also high rolled a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think Robot Wizard also suffered from bad dice rolls, you know, not able to use Shenhe's skill in round 1, forcing to actually only go for a normal attack. Not sure if the Icy Quills right from the beginning would have made a difference, but it does. Every little bit adds up, you know. 1 extra damage can sometimes force your opponent to have done something differently in the later round, so even if the math doesn't quite add up where that 1 extra damage matters, it could change the way the flow of the game works as a whole.
Definitely, and you know, 1 point of damage was... Raiden was at 1 HP. If SI had a Lotus... it would have been something. Anyway, it looks like Proxy is bringing Shenmue with Wanderer, which I really like. Wanderer is a new card in this patch, and it's very strong. Very, very strong. Very popular as well.
Yeah, Shenmue has kind of been on the backline for a lot of these players, mainly because of the dominance of the double Geo Ito decks that has been prevalent for so long. But Wanderer does give you a little bit more play against that deck, specifically with him having access to such a powerful burst doing 7 to 8 damage.
I do like the double copy of Sumeru City in this deck.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like Sumeru City, I really need to go look at the deck list, but I think like almost every deck is running Sumeru City. It's definitely come out as the premier dice generation card, being able to discount your skills with a condition, but that condition generally is pretty easy to meet if you build your deck right.
And here it looks like Robot Wizard brought Pyro Kaching, which is a very classic meta deck. We haven't admittedly seen it too much, especially, you know, like you were saying, Shenmue kind of got phased out by the double Geo Ito decks. I think Pyro Kaching is also another deck that does not fare well against the Ito decks. You know, Ito is just so strong, especially in Bin, which is Barbara, Ito, Noel, where Barbara can cleanse off, like, basically elemental applications on your active character with their skill. So, kind of makes doing Overload reaction to Pyro Kaching or Shenmue pretty difficult. But in this case, no Ito.
Yeah, well, I mean, we do have a couple of Itos in the list, but one of the interesting things with Dea kind of replacing Barbara in those Ito lists, you no longer have to worry about that cleanse. So even though Dea is kind of improving a matchup in certain other ones, it now makes it so that your Pyro Kaching matchup is not as good as it before. So I think it's a really good choice here from Robot Wizard to pick this deck again. It's always been very strong, but people kind of forgot about it in the excitement of using Wanderer and Dea in kind of the new shiny characters. So very tried and true. You know, we'll have to see how it holds up against the new Wanderer variant of Shenmue.
I really like Wanderer, by the way. Like, he has a very unique kit. There's not many characters that can target inactive characters with their attacks, right? And so, you know, basically, after using Wanderer's skill, or if you have his talent, your normal attacks on him will target an inactive character instead of the active character. And I just think it's so interesting because one thing that you see against animal like swirl decks is, you know, people are going to try to avoid elemental reactions. If your active character has some kind of like elemental application on them, you're going to swap over to an inactive character who doesn't have anything to avoid that swirl. But Wanderer can kind of get around that, right? So it's new thing you have to think about.
It's really frustrating too. I know Wanderer has been like very polarizing for the TCG folks. People who play him love him. People who play against him hate him, which I think is really good on kind of the design part. Like they really hit the nail on the head because I think people feel about Wanderer the same way in TCG as they do in the main game.
In the main game, pretty accurate, lore accurate.
It is very lore
Amazing.
accurate. Like he's such a troll. It's brilliant. Personally, I don't play Wanderer decks too much, but I just love his design. Like I think they really hit the nail on the head on that one.
Ooh, look at those Pyro dice for Robot Wizard. I wonder if we're gonna see Bennett Burst Rush. I mean, he did choose Bennett as his active character, so and not so good dice for Proxy. Unfortunate.
Yeah, and interesting here, Proxy choosing not to use Sucrose in the Shenmue and instead going with Xiao here. So definitely more of a Wanderer focused deck. You know, we're almost certainly going to see Shenmue into Wanderer and then Swell. One thing, of course, very good. One thing we got to, you really want a quick swap effect, and we do see that a Nemo Resonance card in Proxy's hand, so going to be helping him out a lot in getting that first swap, which is so cute.
I love animal very much. Oh, starting out with Bennett's skill, very tricky because like, oh wait, is that Tandori? No, what?
No, that was Sacrificial Sword.
Sack Sword, okay. What?
Yeah, Sack Sword's gonna let Bennett use 2 skills for 4 damage each at the beginning, so super aggressive start from Robot Wizard here in this matchup.
I did not. I was looking at Shenmue. I did not even notice the Sack Sword. Okay.
I mean, it's one of the reasons you run it in this deck. Not only can it go on Kaching, but you can actually open it with it very well on Bennett for 9 dice kind of that first turn. So, you know, Robot Wizard rolling the perfect dice there as well, not having to tune any cards in order to make this play.
Yeah, all those Pyro and Omni definitely coming in handy here, and I think Proxy is thinking carefully about what to do because, I mean, you can skill on Shenna. I mean, you would have to tune to do that? No.
Not
Moonpiercer coming into play.
Moonpiercer is fixing.
Manifest! Moonpiercer is very fixing. Okay,
yeah, it's
so
one of the
Moonpiercer into Shenna's skill.
Yeah, Moonpiercer also one of the new cards in this version. You know, it's kind of like the bow equivalent King Square. When you equip it, it discounts your skill by 2. So one of the things it lets you do is use dice of a different element to equip, and then you only need to use 1 cryo, as you saw there, for Shinha's skill.
I do think we're gonna.
Are you sure it has to be me?
Ooh, Soul Swap. Okay,
fine.
Saving
Let's
that
get this
animal
over
resonance. I guess, you know, Robot Wizard's out of dice anyway, would have to play a Woven swap. I don't think you want to do that, so yeah, Proxy's gonna be able to get free
Squall and Fury.
Alright, so it's gonna be Bennett versus Wanderer. The thing I like about this Bennett opening is that with the burst down, especially if you can draw a Talon card, which does not come, you can really start putting the pressure on Wanderer. That's one of the ways you deal with Wanderer, is if you can do enough damage to force your opponent to swap off. Ouch.
Wait, they need to swap dice rolls.
I know.
Went to Proxy instead of Robot Wizard.
Ooh, no one Nemo.
You know, it's okay though, because Wanderer is normal attack focused, right? So
True. We're probably gonna see normal attack that, yeah.
Strategize coming out, looking for that. Bennett Talon does not get it.
Not gonna come. So, you know, I think that Bennett Talent would have made this round a lot more difficult for Proxy, but not during the Bennett Talent there. Still be able to get the heals, which is pretty important for Wanderer, but not going to be able to deal as much damage as he would like to force probably Proxy off of Wanderer here.
Yeah, I mean, I think you still go for the Bennett Burst here if
Definitely.
you're a Robot Wizard, but it's going to put Proxy in a difficult position because you want Wanderer to be your active character, but that, you know, threat of an overload reaction is really scary.
Yeah, and we might actually see that overload. There's a quick swap overload ready in Robot Wizard's hands. We might see that. He of course has that woven. Oh, although hang on. Oh, I guess Sacrificial Sword doesn't actually work on the burst there, so Robot Wizard's still only at 3 dice. So expecting him to go back up to 4.
Has toss up, has a lot of things at his disposal though, so I mean, I think it's still fine. You wouldn't really see like a Pyro Res though.
No.
That's the thing. It doesn't have in hand anyway, but Proxy doesn't know.
Yeah, Proxy does have to worry about it, but here it would take, you know, changing shifts into a Pyro Resonance with a Woven as well. So that's a lot of cards to play around. Yeah, since I was going to choose not to play around it, I think that's the right choice.
Yes. You know, despite seeing that Robot Wizard has a lot of cards in hand, you know, Proxy feels like the risk is worth it. Didn't think Robot Wizard high roll. that hard.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. Okay. So Robot Wizard's really hoping to get 3 electric because I think a quick swap into Kaching would actually take out Wonder here even without Pyro-Res. Because that's 5 damage plus 2 from the Bennett Burst. Yeah, I think that's enough. Oh, he doesn't roll any Electro.
There was another elemental generation on Robot Wizard's side, so he's at 4 dice right now.
Yeah, he used his Pyrowoven and re-rolled it to try and get Electro.
Oh, wait!
But didn't get any. 0 Electros. Quite a risk. I think he's thinking if he still wants to make that play, that's a really expensive play now to take out Wanderer. So I almost wonder, do you just stay on Bennett? I kind of like staying on Bennett myself, actually.
You could theoretically you could quick swap and tune everything.
Yeah, but like I said, that's a really expensive. I mean, your opponent is at that many cards. Like, even if you take out Wanderer here, I think they have enough to close out the game between Shenhe and Xiao, and you would have burned way too many resources. Oh, but maybe he's still gonna go for it.
Oh, quick up on the Kaching, and I think we are gonna see 3.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense keeping that I haven't lost
Speed
yet.
of light.
We are going to see Cusco come out. It is just enough damage to take down Wanderer, and that is exactly what Robot Wizard wants here. Very expensive play to make.
Yeah, very hefty investment here, but does put a lot of pressure on Proxy now. You know, down to only 12 health on his side there.
So what do you do if you're Proxy in this case? So your Wanderer, like who you want to be using like right now is gone. You're forced to use Shao instead.
Yeah, you're forced to use Xiao. The other awkward thing is if you use a skill here on Shenhe, you won't be able to do a burst because that next round Robot Wizard will be able to take you out. So you might have to swap onto Xiao
Manifest!
at the
Still
end
going
if you
for the skill.
Yeah.
I think this makes sense.
Yeah. You at least want that buff for Xiao's to swell next turn. I don't think Proxy's going to go for the burst here. We're almost certainly going to see him end on Shenhe, I believe.
Might even put Gamblers on Xiao in this case.
Yeah.
You know, that last dice he has.
Yeah, I think it's deciding between those two very things. Either you swap here or use a Gamblers. Unfortunately, that Anemo Resonance in hand is not going to be able to be played.
Yeah, it is really unfortunate. I feel like you don't swap. Because I think you want to avoid a lot of reactions onto Xiao. If you can take Kuching out at the start of next turn, then you only have to deal with Pyro without any Electro. And, I mean...
Yeah. You're fighting your way through a Bennett Burst, though, so it's looking real bad. But yeah, I think a swap is the wrong call.
Yeah, Gamblers on Xiao for that last dice to be used up, and we see an end. Both of these decks are also very, like, aggressive, right? And fast-paced. We're on, what, round 3?
Yeah. Could be a quick day today. But, I mean, this is kind of... These matches are really fun to watch because, you know, they're always so close and they never drag out for very long. But Proxy there during the Lotus Crisp is actually pretty huge. That extra 3 damage buffer might just be what he needs in order to kind of beat the Bennett Burst.
Yes, and I think that everything is going to be ending in this round. We will see if we go on to a third match in this best of 3, if Robot Wizard takes the win, or if Proxy can somehow avoid certain doom.
Yeah, Robot Wizard also have to be very careful here, because the game is very much not yet
from
guaranteed for him. If he makes any wrong move here, Xiao does have enough, especially with that Gamblers, to clean up from here.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I feel like, you know, Robot Wizard going for that normal attack on Shenhe is like basically really the only thing you can do, but it plays right into Proxy's plan, right? I think the idea is to try to take out Kuching. I don't know if that Bennett Burst if he'll be able to though. New Piercer coming in.
Boring!
Still, only -4. And that Bennett Burst saved Kuching.
Benefit definitely saved Kaching there. I think one of the things Robot always has to be very aware of is that he has his I haven't lost yet. I believe he needs to stay on Kaching here. You know, that gives you up to 6 dice and gives you the most uses of skills, which is what you need to keep yourself healthy through Bennett Burst. But that Gamblers is going to give Xiao a lot of dice to work with.
It will. I feel like, you know...
I think that Fresh Wind of Freedom...
So close.
Yeah, I mean, Robot Wizard also knows that Proxy definitely is running Fresh Wind of Freedom in the deck, so he has to be playing around that. Even if the Kuching goes down here... Oh!
Ash coming out,
Okay.
tuning Stiletto to once again cast Kuching's elemental skill. I feel like that's really good, you know, putting Kuching back at 6 HP. There's no cryo to swirl on her. And Proxy is running low on dice as well.
Yeah, this denies Proxy the ability to go for a Gambler's Refresh. So keeps it at 3 dice, and having that Electro Aura is going to be huge next turn with that Pyro Resonance in hand.
I really wonder if you want to end first if you're Proxy.
I think you have to, and hope you draw another Lotus, because if you end here and your opponent goes first next round, they probably have enough to take you out no matter what.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, Bennett's Burst is going to be running out next round as well, so
That's
the
true.
healing on Robot Wizard's side is going to die down a bit, and, you know, Proxy has, Leo Resonance coming out to tuck those 3 dice away for the next turn. I think that's the best thing you do in his...
Yeah. So we go, it's Xiao versus the world.
Ugh.
2
That
heavy
is
strikes.
not what you want.
I mean, 2 heavy strikes could be kind of relevant. It's gonna be really close. It's gonna be really close.
It is going to be really close. Those
But I
stats, can you play them both together? No, right?
No, yeah, you can't play them both together. And so probably only one's going to be useful, but not drawing any healing effects is pretty big. You know, I think a Lotus might be the only way out of it for Proxy here, but looks like Robot Wizard might be able to close the series back up 1-1 here. The pretty dominant performance, all things considered.
Yeah, I really think so, especially that Pyro Resonance in hand.
Yeah. And honestly, this is a pretty bad matchup, I think, for the Shenmue deck. You know, Pyro Kuching be able to put out so much damage with Overload and Pyro Resonance that you can't just stay on Wanderer like the Shenmue deck wants to do, and we saw how early that he got taken out.
Proxy going for normal attack on Kuching, not really wanting to use up his Omni and Animal there for a skill that's not going to swirl anything.
Yeah, it's 1 extra damage, but that extra damage isn't going to matter here because of Kuching being on 6 health, so very heads-up use of dice there, conserving it.
Have to see how...
Nowhere to hide.
Yeah, just piling on as
Robot
much
Wizard
damage.
Just set enough dice with Pyro Resonance and then 3 Pyro to take
Obviously very
Proxy out.
calculated.
Very, very calculated.
Yeah, and of course he is still thinking, you know, Freshman of Freedom is almost certainly going to come out on Xiao's side, but I think it's just going to be a matter of who gets more their turns faster, and Robot Wizard is going to have a window where he can use Bennett to take out Xiao with that Pyro Resonance. I think even through a Lotus, because I believe that's 4, 7, 4, 6, 9 damage. Yeah, I think he even beats Lotus this way, so there's almost nothing that Proxy can do, but we'll see
Freshman of Freedom coming out. This will enable Proxy to basically have 2 turns against Robot Wizard, Kuching falling, and we're probably going to see Xiao's elemental skill coming out here against Klee, but I don't think it's going to be enough.
Yeah. Proxy had enough dice to close it out, but yeah, is just exactly off of lethal here.
Here's Pyro Resonance coming down. We're going to see Bennett's skill that will be enough to take out Xiao, and wow, Robot Wizard going 1-1 against Proxy. Wow.
And Bennett there on 1 HP. Yeah, you saw how close that match was. Like, it's insane the kind of ways the game can tip here. But definitely, you know, that Bennett burst, even without the... I mean, if he had drawn talent at that moment, the game would have been over, right? Like, because of how close it is without that talent, it really goes to show just how close this matchup is.
And you know, we were talking a bit earlier about how Pyro Kuching kind of fell out of like the popular scene, but I feel like this game really shows how strong it is still. It has bad matchups, but this definitely isn't one of them.
No. I think especially with competitive play, you know, when you know your opponent's deck choices, we've seen a lot of games in the previous series, you know, season 4, season 3, where we had that Bin matchup into Pyro Kuching, and we saw just how dominant, you know, Bin was able to make those matchups. And, you know, in a best of 3, if you choose your decks in just the wrong way, or if you have something with that skewed of a matchup, you're guaranteed a loss in one of your rounds. It's just such a huge thing to overcome. So we saw that a lot of players favoring other deck choices, which are with more consistent matchups across the board. But I think Robert was, again, very heads-up choice here with Pyro-Kaching, as it no longer matches up that poorly into the Day of Variance.
And you know, these players, I believe they do not know what decks their opponent will be bringing, even in the knockout rounds, especially not in the preliminary phase, but like in the knockout rounds as well, they're just basically picking decks and bringing them to their matches. There's no open deck list or anything like that, so it is kind of a gamble when you're choosing a deck like Pyro-Kaching. Like, what if your opponent decides to go with something like Bin, which can cleanse reactions? So there's a lot of mind games going on too, just with picking your decks.
And particularly between these two players.
Candace Razor. I just wanted to say that.
I really like this deck. I mean, this is one of the decks that I even had guessed would be good when Candace first came out, and I'm glad to see that that prediction remained true. Obviously, this list is more refined than anything I could come up with, but it's essentially a very powerful combo deck focused on basically doing bursts 1, 2, and 3 all in a row.
And we see like Parametric Transformer, Heavy Strike, Vanessa's Rebellion. So this is you pull off those burst combos, and then you're just doing normal attacks on Chongyun, I believe. I mean, sorry, not Chongyun, Razor. I'm so used to Chong Razor. What?
Yeah, in this case, definitely, Razor is the finishing character here. You know, with Candace's Infusion and Razor's Burst together, you're doing about, I think, 6 damage on each attack, plus the electric charge damage. With the right draw, I believe this deck can finish as early as round 2.
And here's a classic deck, Nahida Electro Charge with Oceanid, not with Mona. I know Mona variant was very popular in this last patch, but I feel like, you know, Birthday of Luck, still very strong, very summon heavy, so...
Yeah, Robert was definitely staying with the classics, although this is an interesting twist as well on the Nahida Electro Charge deck with some new cards in I guess newly buffed cards with Dunyazad and Chef Mao.
Dunyazad, Chef Mao, NRE, so it's food tech. It's food tech. I'm so excited. I feel like, you know, Dunyazad makes this work really well. And, you know, even if you don't pull out Chef Mao, if you get Rana, that's also good. So basically Dunyazad will allow you to play another support card for free, basically. But
one less cost.
When you play one, it will also pull another one out of your deck.
Yeah, so it immediately replaces itself and
cost,
discounts. It's essentially Tubby but for characters, but not quite as explosive because it only discounts by 1 each time, not 2. But there's so many powerful character cards. I mean, Paimon especially. A lot of players have stopped playing Paimon because there's so many other 3-cost cards, but Dunyazad's, the changes to her really make that a premier card for those decks.
Yeah, you could play Paimon for 1 cost if you have 2 Dunyazads out on your board, which is still really strong. But I mean, you can also play something like Liasu or Chef Mao for free, because there are a lot of support cards that are just 1 cost. And you see Chef Mao in hand there. Ooh, Rebel Wizard not keeping it though.
Probably looking for Dunyazad. I think you really want to... I mean, this deck is very much built around Dunyazad for at least as the action cards go, in the shell of a classic, you know, Nahida Electro Charge deck. But not finding it, which is pretty significant. Does get an NRE though, but you know, without Chef Mao or Dunyazad, that NRE actually isn't that good.
And it looks like Proxy might be keeping his hand with Parametric Transformer, Sealy, so card draw, dice generation, Covenant, Woven, Lotus. I mean, pretty solid, I think. I guess he's still
pretty good overall.
Though.
Yeah. I mean, you might see him put away that Lotus there. I think he preferred some ramp or maybe some energy generation cards in the first round. Your Electro Resonance, I think, is one of the better cards to draw in the first turn for sure.
Nope. Keeping it all.
The campaign begins.
So if you're Proxy, do you play Treasure Seeking Sealy? I mean, he decided to keep it, so I'm guessing you're gonna play it with Raiden.
I believe so. I mean, you almost always open with 2 skills or a normal attack on Raiden. So you're almost gonna get that Treasure Seeking Sealy right away on turn 1. The only difference is he gonna choose to play Parametric Transformer in this round or save it for a different turn? You probably want to save it.
I mean, you could play it at the end of your turn, maybe. Especially since Robot Wizard started with Oceanid, so going for summons, not elemental damage.
Oh, he's gonna tune 2.
Tuning for 5 cost. Tuning 3 cards.
Water
so
storm is
expensive.
ever changing.
Looks like it's gonna be a tune into 5 cost, double summon, and then Leaven, right? Leaven pass.
Yeah, probably Liven Pass.
There
I
is
mean,
no
I think this is
escape.
what you need to do because the Proxy being a combo deck is really going to, you want to put pressure on them as quickly as you can. So trying to get those 5 cost.
There's the parametric.
Okay, so it's gonna be parametric to end.
I think that makes sense. What else do you do with those dice? And then, Raiden's Burst is nice and ready. Another parametric? Okay, that could be kind of huge.
Yeah, definitely a very good setup for round 2. It's going to be a game, I think, this round to see if Robot Wizard can trigger that parametric Transformer. He really doesn't want it to go off on the same turn that Razor gets his burst up, which is probably going to be round 3 at this point. That's, ooh, those are really bad dice rolls.
Really bad. It's unfortunate. I mean, it's so bad.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, still has, just needs to tune 1 for that, burst on Raiden, but not going to have enough to follow up with the Candace burst as well. So it'll be interesting to see what happens after that. Might just be forced to deploy that second parametric transformer, but maybe that Treasure Seeking Sealy can help him out here based on what cards he draws.
I feel like we were kind of in pain watching Robot Wizard tune all those cards earlier to do a 5 cost summon, but I think it makes sense if you're planning on playing Leaven because you get 2 cards end of turn, 2 cards from Leaven. So yeah. I think it's worth.
Yeah, I mean, I think in Robot Wizard's position in this matchup, you really want to be putting more pressure on your opponent, getting damage out early. The longer you let the game go and the more passive you are, the more likely you're just going to get wiped out by a combo. Especially because the Nahida Electrocharge deck, a lot of their damage is in the summons. So all of your damage kind of comes at the end of round 3, but your opponent's deck is going to kill you before that round 3 finishes. So it's really a race there against the clock on Robot Wizard side. So I like how aggressive they are in their opening.
Speaking of Nahida, we do see a swap to Nahida. I think Robot Wizard is going to opt for her 5 cost skill. It's going to generate a Bloom Core, so when he does go to official and probably use those 2 Electro Dice, it's going to be pretty good actually. A lot of damage.
Yeah, and I think the dice is going to work out perfectly for 5 into official there, just enough there. So really good opening.
Yeah. One thing I noticed as well? So I think Robot Wizard is favored to win Smash. You know why?
Tell me.
You know why? Because he has 3 dynamic skins and Proxy doesn't.
Oh my god. That's true. I mean, Proxy here, obviously, on not on their main account there on the NA side, hasn't had enough time to farm up the dice for the dynamic skins. This is the home team advantage, I guess, that you get from playing on your main server.
True. Proxy thinking really hard about what to do. Tuning into meat rolls, going for Raiden's elemental burst. I think this is what you should do. Both Candace and Razor's bursts are ready to go. Just as you said, this is a combo deck. It's what you want to do. Rush Raiden's Burst, and then go Candace Razor.
Yeah, it's very rare for this deck to deviate from that plan, which also kind of gives the advantage to Robot Wizard, because he can kind of predict exactly what his opponent is going to do in this situation. And Proxy too isn't, with the opening from Robot Wizard side, they're not free to kind of change up their plan. They also have to get in their damage before Robot Wizard can at the end of round 3 as well.
Using Strategize, I wonder what Proxy was looking for.
Probably something to tune dice. I mean, or just to fill up their hand so that they can tune 3 to use Candace Burst here.
Honestly, I almost wonder if Proxy's going to sacrifice Raiden and just play...
They could.
But the Parametric's going to...
Yeah. They know that official skill is going to pop that Parametric Transformer. What we're likely to see here is tuning for Candace Burst, and then we'll probably see Proxy use the dice from the Parametric to deploy another Parametric.
Probably, yeah. I think that sounds about right. What do you tune here? I guess you could tune Sealy. You don't really need Sealy.
Yeah, I think you can tune Sealy. You obviously want to keep Gamblers and Covenant. I can't see what the 2 foods are. I believe one of them is a Lotus Crisp, which you want to keep, and the other one might be a Minty Meat Rolls. You probably tune one of them because you can't eat 2 foods in one round.
Yeah, I think everything is set to end next round.
For
if
sure,
Candace gets
yeah.
first off.
One way or another, if Proxy doesn't close out the game next round, it's almost certainly going to be over based on kind of this opening from Robot Wizard, setting up all of their summons.
I feel like, so that was a hash brown. I don't know what the other food card is. I can't see it. I wish I could see it.
I think it's a Lotus Crisp. It's the same Lotus Crisp that Proxy had at the start of the round. So choosing to kind of keep Lotus over hash there, because effectively they are the same effect. But what do you tune as your last card? That's really tough.
I mean, maybe unpopular opinion, but what do you need Covenant for right now?
I think, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, like, what do you... He tuned my rolls earlier, right? So, what are you going to do with 2 dice when normal attacks cost 3?
Yeah, Covenant definitely the right choice. We're probably going to see a swap onto, or probably a parametric into Gamblers on Razor. I think you want Candace to tank all the damage on end phase.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. And
By royal decree!
Critical Skill is going to do a whole lot of damage here. The Bloom Core +2. So,
yeah,
Stay
but
close
you know,
and
with
you will
Proxy's
live.
deck, once the character is bursted, you're kind of free to sacrifice them however you want. They really have served their function.
Yeah, it looks like instead of equipping Gamblers, Proxy did swap to Raiden. I actually like this because those summons are going to do a whole lot of damage. Geometric does come down. Raiden's falling here to George. Goodbye.
So I believe the swap there actually perfect, because if you look there, no reactions were triggered at the end phase for Robot Wizard. Proxy able to line up the elemental applications perfectly so that the Nahida seeds were not triggered at all.
And also, just, you know, noticeably, Razor has not been the active character at all. So, you know, he is healthy and also free of any Electro or Hydro. So, I think Proxy is gearing up to go this round. I think everything's going to be decided here.
We might see him... I don't know if he has enough dice to finish out the game this round. Depends on whether Robot Wizard is going to play into the Gamblers in his hand or not. But Robot Wizard, you know, still has a lot of damage on the board here. Probably going to just resummon on Oceanid and then hope to survive this round and let the summons finish the job at the end of it.
Yeah, but how do you survive here? The Parametric Transformers down, Razor's Burst is about to come out. And honestly, you know, 2 Gamblers in hand, you don't even need the second one.
Well, with Razor Burst and Gamblers, that's still only 2 attacks. I don't know if that's going to be enough to finish off all of the other side. Particularly, you know, Proxy still has to play around things like a Calx Burst. And we see Star Signs, of course, on Robot Wizard's hand as well, in order to kind of take out Razor unexpectedly. So there's still a lot more things to consider here.
Yeah, so Robot Wizard is sitting on Star Signs I haven't lost yet. That could be pretty huge, just instantly 2 energy points to whoever.
Yeah, I think the main decision here is, do you go to Nahida or Oceanid? Oceanid summons will probably guarantee your win at the end of the round, but you have to know if you can survive until the end. But I believe with a Lotus in hand, that's going to be pretty likely. The Gamblers is going to be...
I'll watch your back.
You do swap the Razor. Okay, so you're not going to try to stall her. Oh.
I think that makes sense with the swap to Oceanid. You know, if your opponent's going to Oceanid summon, then that gives you a window to use Razor. But we could maybe see... Oh, there's not enough dice for a Star Signs Burst.
Yeah, there's not enough energy either on Robot Wizard's side, because it's not Calx, it's Star Signs, so it's only 1 energy point, and can't use that I haven't lost yet.
In the image of the wilderness.
Ooh, got George! That's a high roll.
I wonder if that's even enough. I mean, it's going to be great at kind of keeping Oceanid here alive through Razor's Burst. So that's going to make it really awkward for Razor to finish off Oceanid, but with that Gamblers in hand, it's going to be so much damage.
Yeah, I feel like Proxy, you know, has the perfect dice here.
And you see here, Robot Wizard choosing not to use the 5 cost there, probably in order to conserve his dice so he can swap stall around and make sure that Gamblers is not on the table. Yeah.
Swapping Official?
Oh, okay. So Official is going to go down. Oh, but that Parametric might not trigger this turn. Because all Robot Wizard damage
Gamblers, right? Gamblers, and then...
That leaves you with 2 dice, so you can't actually use another attack here.
But you can swap. Like you could use those 2 dice to swap around.
Main.
Oh, Razor Burst
excited,
coming
but-
in. Official does fall, and it refunds 2 Omni to Proxy. So, I mean, the Parametric Transformer, if it's gonna be at 2 counts, 1 more, and Proxy gets another 3 dice, which is exactly what he wants. But, I mean, I feel like you just swap the Candace.
You might. I mean, you're forced to do something because it's almost guaranteed that Rebel Wizard isn't going to do anything. We might see him summon again on Rodea here, maybe with the I haven't lost yet. Well, I haven't lost yet burst, probably not going to be enough, or maybe it is 6. It's either I haven't lost yet burst or just another summon on Rodea here. But I kind of like the burst angle. Just get some damage out as quick as you can. It does, I think, 7.
I don't think it's gonna do
damage.
enough. It's not gonna do enough. It should do 6, I believe.
It's not. Oh, you know, the one reason you can't make that play is because you don't want to. If you pop your opponent's parametric, then the game is over.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you need to summon here. Yeah. It's you're always going to summon here. Yeah. So here we go.
I mean,
you're hoping for the scroll.
In the image of the wilderness.
Okay. Might not matter, but you're really wanting the scroll there.
2, 3, 4. So if you swap the Candace, Oz is gonna do 1 Electro, and then the Frog Summon's going to do 2 + 1 for Electro Charge.
Yeah, you definitely want to
1
swap to Candace, because I think that
5.
keeps your Razor free of any reactions. It's
Yes.
going to take 1 damage from Seeds, but 8 health on Razor is going to be pretty good. It's going to lose that Hydro Infusion, though, from Candace, but might be enough to close out the game there. The problem with swapping to Razor on to Candace, though, is it does give your opponent first go next round. And they'll be able to burst on Rodea right away. And the Ocean Bird burst probably is going to be enough to kind of close out the race quicker than you can do that. Although I guess there is
It's not going to be
Never
Ocean
mind.
Burst because the Raiden Summon's going to take
Yeah,
out
yeah.
Oceanid here. It's going to be Nahida Burst. And I mean, Rebel Wizard can go Star Signs Nahida Burst, but I just don't think it's.
I think that's too
going
slow.
to do
Yeah.
anything. It's too slow. It's not going to do anything.
Yeah, I mean, he does have that. He does have the Lotus in hand. I think both sides have a Lotus, so it's going to be a matter of trading Lotus.
Wait, that's interesting.
Oh, but because if he does this and goes first, then he can take out Nahida before any Lotuses can be applied, which I believe just wins the game. Yeah.
Yep. So Proxy ending here. Okay, that makes sense. I mean, he is going to lose, like you said, Candace's burst passive, but you know, Oceanid is going to fall to Raiden's, you know, the last. Ooh,
Oh, wait, but is that
I haven't lost it coming in. Lotus. I think that's smart.
Ooh. Yeah, this changes the math. You know, I think Robot Wizard purposely saving that I haven't lost yet until the end to make his opponents think he doesn't have any dice left. This changes the math immensely on how the next turn is going to play out.
Yeah, because if
As
you're
we see,
Proxy,
Raisin
if you're Proxy, you don't really have to play around something like Woven, right? Because NEC is a rainbow deck. But I mean, I haven't lost yet. Definitely giving pleasure.
Yeah, let's see what Robot Wizard draws. If he draws more food, like another defensive food card, I believe that might be enough. Although Proxy does have his own.
You know, in comparison with the first 2 matches we were watching, this one is like, oh, the tension is on, right? Like, the other 2 matches just went so quickly, but...
It is, but if you look at Robot Wizard's dice, that's not good.
Oh,
he rolled 1 Dendro and he needs them all for Nahida here. I think that's gonna not matter now what he drew.
Lotus coming on to Razor, and you know, he opts for the normal attack Proxy, and Rodea falls, leaving Nahida at 2 HP.
I think
tension.
that's it. Yeah. Oh, it was mushroom pizza. Okay.
I love mushroom pizza. It's not gonna be enough though.
No.
I haven't lost
Still-
my burst is going to be enough to take out Razor. Maybe.
Yeah. Although, actually, hang on. No. With Heavy Strike in hand, Proxy can finish the game next round. There was a small window because Candace's skill delays for a turn. Oh, I guess Razor's still alive, so it doesn't even matter.
Razor is still alive with the Lotus. I
thought
forgot
that was
about
a lot.
Lotus already. Oh. on the edge of my seat with this game. Hinahina falls to Razor's Burst, and the last match of this best of 3 does go to Proxy. So Proxy beat Robot Wizard, who I said earlier, Robot Wizard is a fan favorite to win. Has taken first place in many of these Cattails Gathering tournaments. Also took first place in NA Prince Cup, and looks like he's ending 4th for season 5.
I mean, still a very respectable finish. You know,
Of course,
when you get to these top level matches, you know, with player skill levels so close together, it really can come down to not only the deck choices that line up against each other, but also, you know, the dice rolls and things. And we saw it very much. I think, you know, there's a couple of rounds that Robot Wizard just struggled on dice a little bit more. Having to tune 3 that early on for some of the skills there really hurt in that matchup. So needing those cards to kind of come back at the end and not finding them. So big congratulations to Proxy, aka Kevin Z, for taking third place here.
Third place.
As we're
So
not quite yet.
Yeah, not quite yet. We had third place best of 3, and soon after a break, we'll be having our finals best of 3 between Kihano and I believe it was
Kami.
Yes, Kami.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I mean,
mine
really,
was
even as a third place match, that was a first place quality match, and we're going to get into another one of kind of at the same caliber. So I'm really looking forward to jumping into the next one. But yeah, one of the things I really love also about this top 4 is we see a lot of deck variety. I mean, we saw basically no repeated decks between those two players. In fact, there's 10 unique decks among the 12 that were chosen for this tournament. So looking to be a really fun time here just to see the variety.
Yeah, and I'm kind of hoping that we do see like a Bin or a Din match, especially with the changes coming up next patch. We might not see Ito played as often, so big changes coming up. But I would like to see Bin or Din. I believe these players have brought it in their decks. It's just a matter of will they be playing it. So we will have to stay tuned for that final best of 3. For now, we are going to be going to a short break. We'll see you very soon.
Yeah.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Cat Sales Gathering Season 5 American Finals. My name is Leah, aka Windflower Leah.
And this is Blep at Blep the Cat.
So, we just finished our third place match between Proxy and Robot Wizard. And now we're about to go into the finals match between Kami and Kihano. So,
yeah, really
thoughts?
Looking forward to this one. Well, I mean, first of all, this is kind of a rematch. Kami coming top 8 in the Season 4 finals actually played and was knocked out by Quijano, aka Kirano here. Again, another player who has a very extensive tournament history, one of the top players usually in the EU region, but making another knockout finish here in the America bracket.
Yeah, Kirano tends to play across all these regions, right? I believe in Season 3, Kirano played 105 matches total because you have to play 35 preliminary matches in each region to get onto the leaderboard. Then you have to go through the knockouts. So it's just lots of genius invocation from this player. But now we are seeing him in the finals match here against Kami. I'm very excited for this best of 3. Kihano definitely extensive tournament history, but what can we say about Kami?
I mean, not too much. Like I said, they appeared recently in the Season 4 for the first time, I believe, and got to top 8, again, getting knocked out by Quijano, who did end up taking first place in the North America finals there. So definitely the favorite here. We can see the full bracket here, a lot of familiar names, also some unfamiliar ones as, they're using different pseudonyms here.
Yeah, so on the left, you see the initial leaderboard coming in from the preliminary phase. All these players had to play those 35 matches and preliminaries to make it into the knockouts, and then they went through best of 3s to determine who would be advancing to the finals in this case. And of course, we just finished our best of 3 for third place between Proxy and Robot Wizard. Now we will see who is the champion of the North America Season 5 Cat Sales Gathering.
Yeah, and one of the things that might jump out at you with those brackets, you see a lot of like 3-letter acronyms there. We're starting to have like kind of professional, I suppose, testing teams and teams that play together starting to appear. FDJ, if you see anyone on the ladder, anyone with that tag is playing together. SUC, of course, one of the more popular ones, which I believe Robot Wizard belongs to there as well. But a lot of players that are playing together regularly and kind of training for these high-level matches.
Looks like Kami-sama is bringing Agent EC for this first match in the finals, by the way, and I see some interesting cards in the support here. I mean, Tubby's normally played in Agent EC, I believe, but I always get excited when I see Tubby. You get those free location cards every turn. You want to get Tubby in your first hand so you maximize the efficiency of that card, but, it's been utilized more recently. I'm always excited to see Tubby.
Yeah. And a little bit surprised that, Agent Electrocharge, this is being a very popular deck among players, and I'm pretty surprised that none of the previous 2 players in the best of 3 that we saw chose to bring this deck, but a very strong choice for any tournament.
And Kihano bringing the classic Shenamel. Of course, we can't have the best of 3 without Shenamel, right? And it looks like
Shen has
he's
SC.
opting... sorry, Shenna SC. And it looks like he's opting to use Moonpiercer. This has been a new addition to Shenna SC. As we also saw in Robot Wizard's case, but
yes. And those 2 players definitely play together, so I'm sure each of them work together to figure out the best set of cards to use for the list here. Pretty interesting set. I see like there's a single Paimon, a single Timmy, and a single Lisu in Kihano's deck there. Pretty funky. We'll have to see which one of those they draw. One-offs are always very fun to look at. They're not as consistent as drawing 2, but if they can show up at the right time, they can really help swing a matchup.
Yeah, I feel like, honestly, Shenna SC is favored here. It's just a much faster deck, but I think it's definitely going to come down to the draw. If Kami-sama gets lucky and top decks at Tubby, that could change a lot. I mean, you have to get Tubby, you also have to get location cards, right? So it's not just a matter of getting one or the other. You have to get both.
For sure.
So, looks like we're going to go into this first match in the finals. I'm so excited.
And we'll also see the 2-cost emblem there being run by Kami. Very interesting.
No escape.
That generates an energy for the equipped character whenever another character uses a burst, but also increases the burst damage by +2, and you can stack that on top of Adeptus, so we can have a +5 burst coming out of Kami-sama at any moment. Wow.
I do think the other thing to look for as well, by the way, against Shenna, SC is whether or not you draw a send-off, and Kami-sama did draw a send-off. So I mean, we already know how this is going to end, right? We're going to see Raiden's skill swap to Shenhe.
Shine down!
And Shenhe burst.
The threads of your fate lie in my hands.
Yeah, and we saw send
Not
off.
gonna stick around.
No, and we saw send off kind of being the bane of Shenhe Superconductor's existence in the Malaysia Prince Cup several times. You know, we saw this deck a lot on camera, but pretty much almost every single time it faced off against send off and was completely decimated by it. So we'll have to see if Quijano can play around that this time.
Yeah,
Lisu does help. Yeah, Lisu does help.
Lisu does help, but it's still going to be really painful, you know, if Quijano plays Lisu, swaps to Shenhe, opts for like Icy Cools or normal attack, and then burst. It's still going to be sent off. You're going to have to repeat the process again to get Shenhe burst up again. It's so resource heavy to face that send off.
But the one thing going in kind of Quijano's favor there, you know, Kami-sama not drawing the Tubby, you know, Shenhe is a card that delays the game, and so it gives more time for cards like Tubby to produce value over the long term. But without something like that, then it's kind of even, right? Even if Kami-sama can get rid of the burst on Shenhe's side, without a Tubby engine to gain value over the long term, it isn't quite as effective as it normally would be.
That's true, but, you know, Kami-sama opting to play Liwa Warp, that is going to give a lot of card draws, so we might see Tubby more location cards coming out. It's not Tubby that Kami doesn't have, but it's also location cards.
Yeah, I mean, at this point,
like
Kami...
nothing.
Yeah, at this point, Kami Pro doesn't even need or want Tubby. You know, if you don't draw on round one, the longer the game goes on, the less likely, especially against such an aggressive deck like Shenhe Superconduct, that you are going to get an opportunity to use it. Oh.
Double Woven for Quijano. I think that could be really strong in this case.
Yes. I mean, Quijano's aiming to finish the game again pretty much by round 3. If he can do that, Kami is not going to have time to gain value and kind of stack up Agent like this deck wants to do.
I really like, you know, I believe Quijano played Liben and then passed instead of opting for the normal attack and then Shenhe burst. So I think we're gonna see a normal from Shenhe still, but I feel like the extra dice, you know, the 2 Omni from Liben and then also the 2 Woven in hand and also maybe even the 2 Covenant could be huge.
Yeah. We'll see what the cards draw. I would like this skill here. You really want, even Cryo Resistance. You really want those Icy Quills down early so you can start stacking up damage. Oh, here we go. Moon Piercer then making it so that Quijano doesn't actually need to tune any cards in order to use that skill there.
Yeah, that's huge because Icy Quills is going to be buffing that cryo damage, making the burst do 1 more point of damage, but, well...
Contamination must be washed away.
Burst, but immediately onto Raiden's summon.
I think that's... I mean, that's smart because it gets rid of any reactions at the end of turn, and also, of course, Raiden is going to buff that Shenhe burst by 1 damage as well. So I think no matter what you use the send-off here, the math might work out that you're really mitigating about the same amount of damage. But this is a little bit more proactive because now you're going to put your opponent in a little bit of a tougher spot about what to prioritize. Does he go for the burst here still?
I think you would still go for the burst here. But, I mean, that is a good point. You're not going to have the superconductor at the end of turn unless Quijano feels like using more resources in order to swap over and use Raiden's skill again. And even then, you'd have to tune a bunch of cards as well. It's not just a matter of playing Woven.
Yeah. I believe we're probably going to still see the Shenhe burst out. If your opponent used send-off just now and being on 1 dice, you can pretty sure the send-off is going to stick. I think it's too good of an opportunity to pass up to just use it. You are, again, not making the most out of your reactions there. Doubling up on the cryo. Unfortunate. But I think it's too inefficient to do anything else right now. Yeah.
Cryo Incarnate!
Lotus into Shenhe first. -3 onto Oceanid. That burst on top of Icy Quills will buff cryo damage from Quijano's side significantly. And it looks like Kami is opting for Mushroom Pizza onto Oceanid and a pass.
Yeah, Kami might be setting up next round. He can summon on Oceanid into a Star Signs burst. Might be able to snipe off a key character. And that could be Raiden.
I do like this. I do like this, especially, you know, that one die is going to go to Liven, right? And then next turn we might see Covenant fulfill like the last 2 dice.
Oh, 2 star signs.
I don't know if
Still
you're ever
no
going to
Tubby.
use 2 star signs.
No. Oh, Death. I mean,
City
probably not 2 star signs, but you know, a burst on Raiden here is going to deny any Electro application, but Raiden is going to at least be able to get the summon down unless Kami makes the crazy play of going double star signs into burst.
And
That
just
would be
using
something.
every single dice in hand, right?
Yeah. I mean, maybe that's what you want. Like, if you completely get rid of Electro here, maybe that's worth it. I'm not 100% sure, but it could be. I have no idea. I don't think it is. I don't think it is, but it's certainly something you could do. I think it's funny if you do it, but you know, this is a highly competitive tournament, so maybe funny isn't the right play.
It's not optimal. It's funny, it's not optimal.
Yeah, if I was queuing up into co-op, I would definitely do it. But it's probably not the right choice, though.
It's like something you do if you're limit testing, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's
you'd
really
leak-
unfortunate that Kami-sama hasn't drawn Tubby, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's too late for Tubby at this point. You know, I think Tubby would be a dead card, so I'd much rather be drawing other cards that might still have a use.
Or
Because the game is going to go long enough for Tubby to even be useful. I have to see.
So mean to Tubby.
Honestly, with those dice?
Tuning Super City. I mean, I think it makes sense to be tuning location cards here. Like, if you're not getting Tubby, you're not anticipating on getting or playing Tubby in the future, then you don't really need all of those location cards.
Water's form is ever changing.
Tuning
Tuning
star
one
signs.
of the star signs. You know,
So we're not gonna
maybe
see.
we will see 1 star signs ocean first.
Well, now he doesn't have enough dice, so we're almost not
Not
going to
this
see. We're probably not going to see the Oceanid burst here at all. But just setting up those 2 summons to make sure that they can do a lot of damage at end of round here. But what to do with those leftover dice? Looks like probably something like a Favonius Cathedral and a swap. Maybe equipping the emblem onto something like Agent.
I think Cathedral
Illusion shattered.
is a good idea here, personally.
In the name of the Prinzessin!
I also like
Okay.
to swap away from Rodea because I feel like if you're Kami-sama, you might want to be saving that star signs for a burst on Ocean next turn. So you would want to keep Ocean alive, you don't want to be ending. Also, just swap stalling is good to see how Kihano is going to be using the rest of his dice, so...
Yeah, definitely good play swapping to official. You know, that Oz is going to run out, but he's setting himself up perfectly to refresh it. And then having a full board of summons going into the round after that is going to be perfect for Agent to clean up as well. Kihano's dice, though, not cooperating with him at all.
Not at all. I mean, so... There
do?
is 2 dice that can go to Leben, right? There's also 2 Wolven. You could tune some of the food there. I feel like there's some options here. I
mean,
don't
you'd
think
have to-
you're going to be going for Raiden's Burst, though.
No, because you'd have to tune 4 for Raiden's Burst, which might be too much. Yeah, so we could see him swapping over to Shenhe. You know, Shenhe still has that Moon Piercer, so it can put out a lot more damage than she normally could. Oh, Chongyun instead.
I like the swap. You know, especially, you know, you're not trying to use Shenhe's Burst again. You could, but that last energy point going to Chongyun from Ryusu. And we could even see 2 actions from Chongyun here.
We could. Maybe just try and take out Fischl. Because I think that might be enough.
I think it would be, especially with
The Fischl's
summons.
effective 9. Yeah, so Chongyun's skill here is going to do 5 damage each hit because of the Icy Quills. So it can definitely take out Fischl here if he chooses.
One Wolven? I think we're gonna
Yeah, if you
see
use
one
one
with his blade.
So we'll have to see. I think a second attack is too much. Let's see.
Yeah,
2
I mean,
damage.
it's either we see Wolven into normal for Chongyun,
Mhm.
or we might see something like just passing and giving those 2 dice to Liven. You know, Chongyun is gonna take a whole lot of damage from those summons though if he ends. So yeah, I like swapping away. But
Yeah, sacrificing Shenhe here. The other thing I think we could have done, and probably not the best play, but you could have used that Cryo to make the attack and then use Covenant for those last 2 dice on Liben. But again, that would have made you end on Chongyun, which would have been really bad.
Well, it looks like Kiana went for a very similar play here, using Hash Brown on Shenna so that, you know, she can take a bit more of those summons, you know, damage from the summons, and then using Covenant to get another 2 dice to feed to Liben. So I think that works out. Oh, there's Tubby. Wait, too late.
Very late. Yeah, I kind of calculating there very precisely the exact damage the summons are going to need at the end of turn. So using Hash Brown there puts Shenhe exactly on 1 and forces Kami to use up another skill and an elemental application here with Fischl in order to take her out. So very good play. Oh,
wait,
those dice.
Did a card just burn? I heard a card burn.
I don't think so. Both players are on 8 cards. I think it must be something else.
It must have been something else. It sounded like a card being burned.
You're not playing Genius Invocation while you're casting, are you?
No, I would never do that. Okay. No. Shenna at a nice 1 HP here, and of course it's Kami's turn. You're kind of forced to take Shenna out, but it's this is always nice. You know, that Hash Brown bringing Shenna above that break point, so she didn't fall to the summons last turn.
Yes. Yeah, and that could make a huge difference here in this matchup because again, the game is very close. You know, one of the things that Shenhe sees threatening here with that Chongyun burst and Raiden burst can output a lot of damage this round.
Yeah, for sure. The dice rolls are not very good, by the way, on Kami's side.
No, they are not.
Or
I mean, he can at least use Fischl skill. Luckily, he has Tubby to tune because he's outlived his usefulness. So.
Okay, I like this. So Fresh Wind of Freedom coming out. This will allow Kami to go again.
No escape from.
We will have to see what Kami does here. Almost wondering if we're going to see star signs tuning into burst.
We might see a normal attack to finish off Raiden here.
Normal attack would be much better than a burst.
This is long overdue.
Oh, swap to Agent, I see.
Swap instead. Okay, so gonna try and keep Fischl alive. Maybe trying to play into that I haven't lost yet at some point.
Could definitely be the case.
Yeah, Chongyun's definitely it's basically so this matchup once the summons are down comes down to basically Chongyun versus Agent. Both of them are very good at closing out the game, so whichever side can keep their anchor alive and healthy for longer and burst the other one down is really going to be the deciding factor for these games.
I kind of like this play here, you know, Fresh Wind of Freedom, forcing Keanu to choose Raiden instead of Chongyun. So Keanu is kind of in an interesting spot where they have to decide if they want to go for Raiden's burst here. They can't really swap to Chongyun. They could quick swap, I guess. They could quick swap I haven't lost yet Cryo Res burst onto Agent. That's actually something they could do.
Yeah, I think that might be a good play here, and yeah, we might actually be seeing that.
I mean, changing shifts means we're going to see a swap, right?
Yeah. Luckily, no gamblers in Kikanu's hand. I think if gamblers on this would have definitely sealed the game there. Oh, here we go.
Yep, here we go. I haven't lost yet.
That first one.
Cryo
of course, that
no,
second.
Just
the best might be enough. Yeah, with that Raiden summon and Icy Burst, just enough. That's huge.
That is very huge, and you know, we know that Keanu is also sitting on that Cryo
The threads of your
Res.
fate lie in my hands.
Ooh, but hang on. Is this I haven't lost yet? Yeah.
It is.
Adeptus Burst. I believe that's actually enough to finish it.
Adeptus?
Oh.
Tuning 2? Is that enough to take
Midnight
out both
Phantasmagoria.
Chongyun and Raiden?
It is.
We'll have
That's
to see.
exactly.
Minus
Yeah.
7 to Chongyun, my suit of Raiden.
Discourage
Oh
of
my
evil.
gosh, Kami taking the win against Keanu. Congratulations.
That was crazy.
First match in the finals.
Yeah.
That was incredible.
I almost wonder if Kami had planned that out from the beginning, you know, thinking about cards like I haven't lost yet, knowing the opponent might have a quick swap, baiting the opponent into taking out your agent first. I mean, that's kind of the only play I think available to Keanu that was the right play, but kind of forcing his hand there and keeping Fischl alive. You know, I was totally thinking that Kami was going to threaten Fischl, but I think he identified that having Raiden on 2, if he could put it into a board state where it was Raiden at inactive with Chongyun out in the open, you could have a window to take them both out at once.
Definitely. And I was thinking that Star Signs was going to be saved for something like Ocean Burst, because Ocean was at 2 energy points. Star Signs would have brought up to 3, and then they had a full board of 7, so maybe they could have went for an Ocean Burst. But I honestly feel like opting to protect Fischl, swapping to Agent, and letting Agent fall in order to use I Haven't Lost Yet Fischl Burst, I feel like it was just too perfect.
It was very
having
perfect.
all those cards you're not gonna play, like Tubby not coming into use at all except to be tuned, absolutely perfect. It worked out really well.
Yeah, and I think Kami there really playing the deck in a way that complemented the hand. Normally the deck is pretty stolly. It wants to put down Tubby, do heals, and make summons and prolong the game. But not drawing Tubby at the beginning and having all of those damage cards like Adeptus, Star Signs in hand, really opting for the more aggressive angle, focusing mainly on Oceanid and Fischl, and kind of using Pyro Agent as a damage sponge.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And so that is the first game in the finals match, right? So we have either 1 or 2 more to go to figure out who between these 2 players is going to be taking $1,000 as first place prize in the Cat Sales Gathering Season 5 America Tournament. So it looks like we're getting into the second match here. Kami is taking Chong Razor with Beidou as the anchor. I really like this deck. We don't see Beidou played very often.
No, we don't, and it's actually the opposite. In fact, it's a Chong Beidou deck with Razor as
really?
usually the third finish. Yeah, it's unusual. Usually you do think about Chong Razor as a nice combo. I think against certain matchups you do bring that out primarily, but the deck is mostly focused around Chong and Beidou, strangely enough. And we also see here Dunyazad, Chef Mao again, a very common pair that we'll be seeing, I'm sure, into the next version as well.
I feel like with the busted Dunyazad, she's a very good pick and just cooperates so nicely with Chef Mao and Food Tech. So I'm glad to see Food Tech getting more use. And it looks like Kiana is we're seeing a Din match. If you guys are familiar at home, we have Bin, which is Barbara Ito Noel, and then more recently this patch with the introduction of Diha, we have Din, which is Diha Noel. In the perfect order. And I heard Brand say earlier in the EU final stream that the bell is like a signature sword you bring for Ito. So in this case it's a dinner bell.
Oh my god. Did you really pull a pun from the puns never stop.
Anyway,
I have no words.
So my analyst, who do you think is going to win this match?
As a combo-oriented deck, I think Kami's deck has the slight advantage here. Din doesn't have a lot of pressure at the beginning, so lets Kami kind of set up that Beidou burst without interruption and really eat through all the defensive elements of Kihano's deck. So we'll have to see if Kihano tries to take a more aggressive angle with Ito there, not trying to prolong the game out too much and try and pressure Beidou as early as possible. But it's kind of a race between these 2 Claymore users, between Ito and Beidou.
I just want to point out again, the tournament history of these 2 players, by the way. So Kami did take top 8 in NA Season 4 back when we were traveling to Malaysia. We weren't able to cast those matches, but, otherwise is a new player, at least for the Cat Sales Gathering tournaments. Kihano has placed first in many EU tournaments, notably Alpha 1, Alpha 2, and Season 2 of EU on their main. So I'm very interested to see the results of this match and if Din will be able to take the win, rhyming, against Kami. Kami's already 1-0 against Kiana.
I mean, this isn't the Wanderer Eater Noel version that you've been pushing, so you can't quite make that win pun there.
Well, why would you bring up Win? Win is probably the best Ito deck out there. Win.
Okay.
Wanderer Ito Noel. You just win. No?
So, anyway, back to the game as it's happening.
Brought it up.
Kami there with a really bad dice rolls, but a bad opening hand with double I Haven't Lost Yet. Not the card you ever want to see in your opener. Okay.
Ooh. One thing I like about this deck is that we are seeing Electro Resonance. I feel like I rarely see Electro Resonance, but it's one of my favorite resonances. It's like basically discount Star Signs.
I mean, it's better Star Signs, right?
No, I mean,
it's
you get it at a discount. It's
choice.
50% off.
Oh, okay.
Star
That's not
Signs
usually
is 2 dice.
Yeah. Okay, usually discount thingy is like the worst version of the thing, but okay, I see what you mean.
No, but Electro Resonance is one cost. It has to be an Electro die, so I mean that is one thing about it, but one cost and you get a point of energy, and I love it. It's so cheap to get your burst up with Electro characters.
Yeah. One other thing to see here, Kihano's dice rolls also vary. So both sides rolling pretty poor and drawing badly. He had like the worst start to this hand because he has so many 2-cost locations in hand, but got one of each other element, no omnis, and that 3 cryo. So like it's such a bad order to things. So I'll have to see. Looks like, yeah.
I'm trying to remember if Kano brought Tubby in Din. I don't believe that
not.
they did.
Yeah.
Despite running a bunch of location cards, this is not a Tubby deck, so you don't need to top deck Tubby like Kami did in the last round, but
very weird opening from both sides there. You know, because both sides rolled so bad, each of them were forced to basically use 2 normal attacks just to build energy. I mean, this is a very low roll match so far, but looks like things are shaping up a little bit on round 2.
Oh, here's Chef Mel. I love Chef Mel. And of course, you know, when you play a food card, not only will it give you another dice, but it gives you another food card from your deck. I just, Chef Mao is so good.
Yeah, that was huge as well, because Chef Mao, they're basically, with that Northern Smoked Chicken, generating 2 extra dice for Beidou.
And more cards, like to either tune or play for more dice. Like, Chef Mao is in a really good spot right now.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I think Kihano's forced to swap off of Ito here. You don't want Ito to take the damage on that
Double
burst.
Sumer sitting down the side.
It looks like it's not going to matter.
It's very risky on Kiana's part, I believe, but we'll have to see. I'm not too familiar with Beidou's kit to know how much our burst would do in this case.
I believe it's 2. Yeah, I haven't used Beidou in a long time either, but we're going to see. We'll get this answered pretty soon as we see her burst come out.
Power the Kaishan!
-1 that ate through, of course, the shield from Ushi. So yes, 2 damage from Beidou's burst.
Yeah, when seeing how that Beidou focus of this deck here, you know, basically Kami staying on Beidou for all their actions, 3 normal attacks into a burst to charge up that burst right away, and then we're going to see Chongyun take the field not long after.
You know, I see Vanessa's Rebellion in hand for Kami-sama. Really good for dice generation when your deck focuses on a lot of normal attacks, which, you know, I would assume this one does. Because with Beidou's burst up, you can swap to Chongyun and use his skill and then just go normal for Superconduct, right? Right? Oh, I lost Blep. Okay, well, anyway, I'm not sure what happened to Blep, but we do see Kiana playing Liven, playing 1 pizza onto Ito, and I think passing around, those 3 Omni are going to go towards Liven, which is not always efficient, but in this case, I think Keanu just really wanted to go first. I think Keanu is very confident that Ito won't fall here, and they were right, because Liven is coming down to take those 3 dice from Kami's side, and go to next turn. Are you back, Bud?
Am I back? Can you hear me?
Are you back?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
lost
my
you
internet
for a
kind of dropped out for a little bit. Yeah. I was getting really excited about, you know, Beidou and Ito just kind of going toe-to-toe, and I guess couldn't handle it.
Oh, welcome back. Welcome back.
Yes, it's good to be back. I really would hate to miss kind of how this game unfolds, because I'm really looking forward to the thing. Ooh.
It's dinner time. The bell is resounded.
Well, ding ding, I guess. Din din.
Din din ding.
Din din goes the dinner bell. Oh my god.
Anyway,
what has it come to?
This is a very serious geniusification tournament. For those who are watching at home, we are very serious casters. Dice rolls do not look so great on either side, like rainbow dice across the board, basically.
Rainbow dice. I mean, Kihana's hand now is nice and full. We're almost certainly going to see, you know, Chongyun being the important piece in the other deck. I believe, you know, a burst here on Ito would be a very good way to kind of get things going. But you are leaving Ito pretty vulnerable to the skill from Chongyun, which I think is going to do quite a lot of damage.
Yeah, I think it will do a whole lot of damage here. I'm very curious as to why Kiana has been having Ito in the forefront just very confidently. But it looks like we're gonna see the dinner bell on Ito, and the ultimate is coming out. I guess that's a good point of having Ito in the forefront to get his burst faster.
Yeah, I think one of the things I pointed out at the beginning, being a combo focused deck on the Kami side, and I think being a little bit quicker of a combo deck than Din, you start on Ito just to put enough pressure on your opponent so that they can't do what they want. If they'd gotten Chong's combo out here with Beidou without Ito's burst up, then they would be free to kind of make as many attacks on Chonyu as they want. They would chew through your support characters so quickly that you couldn't come back in this matchup. So I think it's kind of the same thing you do in the Ito mirrors, where you want to start on Ito and basically stay on him as long as possible.
Right. Do see a swap off of Ito because, in this case, you really don't want Ito to fall here. He would have stayed on it. And Kami is swapping onto Razor with Chongyun's skill and Beidou's burst ready to go.
Oh yeah, actually, I didn't think about this line. So now Razor is kind of like a triple threat with his normal attack. Being able to apply cryo and also trigger Beidou here. I think also Razor being at 10 is a lot more resilient now to Ito's counter attack.
Definitely, and also, Kami is going to be able to build towards that Razor Burst, which would only add on Minty Meatballs coming down. That will give 3 normal attacks, only 2 costs instead of 3. That is huge.
Yeah, we're gonna see Razor just rip through Noelle here.
Also, both those Chang the Ninths are building their stacks very quickly. We're gonna see a whole lot of cards coming to Kami as well.
Yeah, I think
pass. Ooh.
I think that's what you have to do. You need to just try and wait out the other side. But I think with the hand that Kami has, especially with that Gamblers now, once that Gamblers comes down, I think Keanu's nose is going to be beat.
Oh, and Woven, are you kidding?
Oh no.
Oh, this is so bad. Bad for Kiana.
Really bad.
This is great for Kami. This is a high roll if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of this was just really down to those bad dice rolls at the beginning, forcing Keanu to do really unoptimal moves. But here we go.
Oh,
see the burst out of Razor.
I think this makes sense. The Woven coming out to give Kami just enough dice to go. With the Knife giving him 4 cards, he's able to tune a whole lot and refunds 2 Omni due to Gamblers. There's only 1 stack left on that Minty roll, but it's not going to matter. Tia also falling here. And Ito taking 1 point of piercing from that superconductor react. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
There's just so much. Unfortunately, Kami's not going to be able to end the game here, but I think that was a very decisive turn.
Yeah, I don't think there's any coming back. With no tenacity on Ito here, with not enough time to equip it, it's certainly not enough time to take out 3 characters on the opposite side, especially with that Chong field still up, even though Beidou's burst has run out.
Yeah, and I saw Kami getting Covenant and also Minty Meat Rolls. Just getting cards is even at this point mega high rolling here.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think this is a pretty bad matchup for Din here, going against another combo deck. We'll have to see if Ito can pull out the win. I don't think so. With 9 health, there's no way for Ito to actually take out Razor here. If it was 1 more health difference, that Heavy Strike could have dealt 8 damage to him.
Yeah,
but as it turns out...
The joke is normally that it's Ito and then 2 characters with 10 HP on the side, right? Because Ito can wipe out an entire team in 1 turn, basically on his own, with the other characters not really doing a whole lot of damage on their part, just kind of existing there to stall until Ito's geared up to go. But in this case, Kiana was not able to get Ito going in time, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing is, while, Razor's been very flashy on screen, I think our secret MVP here is Chef Mao. If you go back and watch how many dice Chef Mao has generated during this game, it's incredible.
Yeah, and Chongyun getting that last kill onto Ito. So Kami goes 2-0 against Keanu. That is huge. That was a very, very fast finals best of 3, I think.
It was. And, you know, Kami here getting revenge on Kirano for knocking him out in the previous season 4, now able to take the win. So obviously a very strong player, despite being a little bit new to the Cat's Tail gathering scene. So almost certainly going to see them back again later on with this many top finishes. You know, they've definitely shown themselves to be a very competent player here. And taking out Din, you know, this could be the last time we see Ito on camera for a while, because he was hit pretty hard in the version 4.2 changes and not making a great showing after all said and done.
Yeah, it was like the one Din Bin match we saw today.
It was, yeah.
Just Low Rolled was not able to get Ito, you know, fully equipped with Genasi the Millith and Bell. And, you know, I feel like, on the other hand, Kami high rolled, like you were saying, Chef Mao really came in clutch, not only refunding all of those dice using the Northern Smoked Chicken and such, but also like drawing more food, more cards to tune. Just basically, Kami had infinite resources from the start, even with the bad dice rolls. So I feel like, you know, the power of food tech was really shown in this case.
Yeah, you know, it's becoming a very popular choice for a lot of players. You'll see a lot of decks these days, especially the you know, feature that Dunyazad plus Chef Mao and Paimon combo. You know, that core really being flexible, because pretty much every deck runs food with Lotus and Hash Browns.
Right.
You can put that into any combination of characters and have it be very effective. And it works particularly well in those combo style decks where you are really trying to just generate the quantity of dice rather than the quality. And I think it's at its best there, but still very effective elsewhere.
Yeah, especially, you know, when you are running a deck that is very heavy on normal attacks, you can kind of factor food tech into building around normal attacks, because you'll play something like Minty Meat Rolls or Northern Smoked Chicken to discount your normal attacks and also refund additional dice. It's just like you just can keep going, especially if you have like something like Vanessa's Rebellion, Parametric Transformer. It's just like a very strong core right now, I believe. And, you know, Kami definitely showcased the strength of it in this match. Both of these matches were very well played by Kami. It was honestly so fun to watch. And, you know, Kiana also doing the best that he could with, you know, what he had. Very strong player in terms of tournament history, but, you know, was not quite able to take the win this time. But once
still
again,
gets
congratulations.
Very settled second place there, getting away with $600. But of course, Kami, congratulations, our first place winner, going home with the $1,000 top prize and bragging rights of the title of first place in the NA series.
And also revenge.
Yes, the revenge is very important. Yeah, I don't think he would have had it any other way. Just cleaning up. Playing against Ito decks and beating them is very satisfying, so I'm sure he's feeling very good after that victory.
But yeah, you know, once again, this has been Leah, aka Windflower Leah, for the Castiel's Gathering Season 5 America Finals. It's been so fun casting.
Yeah, this is Blep at Blep the Cat. You know, pleasure to be here. Really excited to the next series, whenever it is. And yeah, we'll hope to see you all again.
I hope to see you guys soon. Take care.